Hey, today they got the assured security technologies on the go. CCTV, security systems, access control, intercom, telephone entry, 24-hour service. Now, there's also a bell truck right here. Just didn't want to get her on camera. So there's a bell truck right here, and they're just parked right alongside of each other. And right here, there must be some type of leak or maybe scheduled maintenance or repair or upgrade or something. It all seems to be kind of happening at a funny time at a funny place, because this sidewalk right here is where the protest was. The one that was, I think it was on the 5th of July, or it was when I was still in or out of town. And basically, this is where they were. And now that view's kind of blocked. Interesting. So listen, I just want to give you like a little summary of why I can't get that close, okay? So basically, there's one entrance, and it's right in the center right here, okay? And on each side, so you can see right there in the distance, over on that side, you can go around, and that's public property, okay? So you can go pretty much anywhere, and you can even ask them questions if they fall out of there. And same thing with over here. There's a Tim Hortons around the side and whatnot. So basically, when they come out of the Delta Hotel, they don't really have too many places to go. The only problem is I have to stay on public property. And I can tell by the way the security was never talking to me at all. They were waiting for me to step on private, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they wouldn't even explain rules to me or anything like that. So I took my my suspicions and just played it on the safe side just in case. So what happens is they have pretty much an entire lane. Actually, you can almost fit, yeah, you can fit, yeah, it's 2 lanes. And then they have another buffer zone right here. And it's all along the side. Now, the sides, it's just like sidewalk. However, if I'm on one side, they'll notice and they go to the other side. So, like, it's not as easy to flank them as you think with one person. So that's why I usually stick to around here for the most part. And I'm able to get a good shot of what's going on right here. And they all come out through there. So I just find, especially in the first recording times, it was best to just stick here. Now, I mean, hopefully we can get some more people today. It's supposed to be a rally. I think it's within the hour they're supposed to be here. So we'll see what happens. But I don't see much going on, aside from a few maintenance trucks on the day at which they're planning to do a protest. So I'll be here for a good, big portion of the day, and we'll be talking soon. Hello guys, so the protest is here. It's a pretty decent turnout. Seems to be from some of us. Oh, it's okay, no worries. So it seems to be a pretty decent turnout from them. I got a couple pictures there. So, nothing against any individuals or anything, just so they know. There's 4 of them standing outside that doorway, and the second I open up that camera, what looked like the head honcho that's in there now, right through those doors, and the one with them, they move pretty quick. But look how she's kind of standing away there. Did you see that?
Colonial government and its resource extraction companies need to follow their lead. court victories have strengthened land claims and turned the idea of crown land and group rights on its head. But this, and so much more, are under attack, and this may not be possible if the Trans-Pacific Partnership is allowed to go through. My name is Seamus, and I am a local student, worker, and parent working with someofus.org to oppose this deal. This week, in this hotel and in other buildings across Ottawa, the most secretive trade deal ever is being hammered out. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is so secretive that elected members of Parliament are not even allowed to see it, and in the United States, only a select group of senators and Congress were allowed to see it, and under supervision. If it wasn't for document leaks through WikiLeaks and other sources, we would only be able to guess what this so-called... We would only be able to guess what is in this so-called partnership. So what is the TPP? They tell us it's just a regular old trade deal and that there is nothing to worry about. But economist Joseph Stiglitz, not someone I would personally tend to agree with very often, had said that the TPP presents grave risks and it serves only the interests of the wealthiest. If passed, the TPP would cover a huge range of issues, from agriculture to the internet to the operating table procedures and environmental regulation. I can assure you, the TPP is about much more than trade, and it is not a good deal. The TPP is about cementing control over laws and policy into the hands of corporations and making sure that people of the affected countries lose any scape of control in determining the direction of our economy, our environment, and our laws. The TPP is about public health and healthcare, and it is not a good deal. In the 1990s, the battle over generic drugs, especially for AIDS and other diseases, was won. But ever since, big pharmaceutical companies have done everything they can to reverse these victories, and they've been doing it through trade deals like this. Médecins Sans Frontières says that a number of trade deals have reduced access to medicines by driving up drug prices. However, some provisions being considered in the TPP negotiations are so damaging, this agreement could belong in a class of its own. The other way that it affects health is that it would allow operating procedures to be patented. Next time you go to the operation, the doctor might say that she would love to remove that tumor, but the procedure has been patented, so she can't, or she has to do it in an old, unsafe way. Which brings us to the idea of copyright in TPP. TPP is about intellectual property, and I can assure you, it is not a good deal. Current laws provide copyright protection for 50 years. TPP would make that 70 and would expand protection to include the ability to copyright plants and animals and a whole host of other copyright concerns. Totally. The PPP also concerns privacy-related provisions that could lead to online monitoring and internet controls and threaten net neutrality. The TPP is also about our environment, and it is a very bad deal. The Sierra Club has said that TPP directly threatens our climate and our environment and gives new rights to corporations in the fossil fuel industry, all having a huge impact on our climate, water, and land. The TPP affects labor and manufacturing. This directly affects our jobs, our workplaces, and it undermines unionization in this country. I'll have to say a few more words. My friend and fellow activist, Nicole Desnoyers. Nicole is a local student, community, and Métis activist, and can we all give her a warm round of applause?
Alors bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Nicole Desnoyers, je suis une étudiante métisse ici à Ottawa. Je suis ici avec vous pour dénoncer les négociations secrètes et honteuses qu'entreprend notre gouvernement. My name is Nicole Desnoyers. I'm a Métis student and activist here in Ottawa. I'll be doing most of my speech in French. I'll translate for y'all later. Alors le partenariat transpacifique regroupe 12 pays, représentant 800 millions de personnes collectivement, mais nos gouvernements n'ont pas le courage de négocier publiquement. Pourquoi? Parce que ce partenariat est dangereux pour les pays qui y participent. Ce partenariat menace l'accès aux pharmaceutiques qui pourraient sauver des millions de vies, va accélérer le changement climatique et donnera la liberté aux corporations de poursuivre le gouvernement si les politiques, par exemple des politiques de régulation ou de santé, affectent leurs profits. As an Indigenous student activist, part of my work inherently is tied to fighting the irreversible damages this government is doing to the traditional lands of the First Nations of Turtle Island. This agreement will threaten the work that I and every other Indigenous activist has done to protect our land. This agreement within this partnership will empower corporations to sue our government if environmental policies hurt their profits. To this I say shame! Shame! Encore une fois, le gouvernement canadien brise leurs obligations de traité envers les Premières Nations de cette terre en négociant en secret des partenariats qui menacent la santé et la qualité de nos territoires traditionnels, sans même nous consulter. Le gouvernement, notre gouvernement, va derrière nos dos et brise toute confiance avec son peuple. Et nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour dire que assez, c'est assez. Non aux négociations secrètes et non au partenariat transpacifique. Today we stand united with people from all 12 countries negotiating this partnership to say no to secret deals behind closed doors and no to the TPP. TPP. No TPP.
Yeah.
No TPP.
No TPP. No TPP. No TPP. No TPP. No TPP.
No TPP.
We invited all the political parties here today. We invited the negotiators here today.
They're here, they're in the green side. Go get them.
Negotiators were staying behind these closed doors, so closed that they even put up stuff in the windows because they don't even want light into their negotiations. We invited the Conservative Party. We didn't get a response. We invited the Liberal Party. They said they support the deal. We invited the Bloc, but there's only a couple of them. But we did invite the NDP, and today on behalf of the NDP we have the Honourable Don Davies, the opposition critic for international trade, who's going to come take our petitions and say a few words. So if we can give a round of applause, Don Davies. Before I do that, SomeOfUs.org has been collecting petitions from all around the world and Canadians. We have 100,000 petitions, almost 100,000 petitions that were signed. And today we are going to symbolically get them to Don Davies, who's going to take them to Parliament Hill for us. And we've been, on behalf of SomeOfUs.org and all of us here, we have Una, who is going to present them to Don Davies. I'll give a round of applause for Una. I'm sure she'll get the...
Thank you. I hate it when I have that effect on children. Good morning, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. It is a privilege to be with you here today to receive these petitions and to witness something that the Conservatives seem to want to be suppressing, which is the involvement of the Canadian public in important policy that affect our lives in our country. I want to thank the organizers of this rally, in particular SomeOfUs.org, and all of you who have gathered 100,000 signatures across Canada and around the globe to indicate that citizens believe that trade policy should involve our citizens, not freeze them out. I just want to talk a little bit about transparency, because there seems to be a prevailing thought in the current government that trade policy has to be conducted behind closed doors, that it has to be done in secret. Well, I say not only is that morally and ethically wrong, but it's unnecessary. There are jurisdictions in this world that are publishing text of agreements to the public so that they can be involved and read what's being negotiated. In the United States, which is hardly an example of transparency. They allow members of Congress to go into the U.S. Trade Representative's office and read the text of the TPP, yet legislators in Canada have to find out about an Ottawa round of negotiations from a Japanese website 3 weeks ago. The government of Malaysia has even indicated that they will put any agreement before the Malaysian people for their scrutiny and approval before they sign the agreement. So there's examples all over this world of a better way. There is a better way to conduct trade policy, and the NDP is here to tell you that we are behind that better way. You know, we've just heard from Seamus that there are very important issues that are being engaged in these discussions. These discussions are not just about trade. This is called the Next Generation Trade Agreement that deals with many issues that were once the preserve of local sovereign governments. Issues like whether we have open access to our internet, whether we have access to affordable prescription medicines, whether we can label our food to tell consumers what they're consuming, and, importantly, whether we preserve the ability of local Canadian governments to legislate and regulate in the public interest without being afraid of being sued by multinational corporations. That has to be stopped. Finally, I just want to say a few words about human rights. The NDP believes that human rights should be important features of all economic pacts, same with democratic development. Well, I think that's even more so in the TPP. We have countries participating, meeting behind closed doors right now that are not democracies, that do not allow free elections, that imprison dissidents, that do not allow normative freedoms like freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the ability to influence their governments, freedoms to run for political office. What we are doing here today is actually illegal in some of the countries that are participating in these negotiations. Some of these countries have child labor and forced labor. And in fact, one of the countries, Brunei, recently passed Sharia law, which makes the commission of homosexual acts or adultery punishable by stoning to death. These are not Canadian values. These do not meet minimal standards of international norms. And we believe that Canada should be voicing loudly and clearly and publicly and advocating for improvements in these areas as a condition of any country participating in these TPP talks. That's using trade policy in the way it should be used, which is to improve the lives of citizens, which is to raise environmental standards, raise democratic development, and improve human rights. We don't have to choose between those things. We can have increased trade, we can develop the Canadian economy, and we can make a better world. So I'm here to thank you for doing your part in helping to make our world a better place, and thank you for shining some light on the TPP negotiations. I'll be very pleased, and it'll be an honor to present these petitions on your behalf in Parliament when it resumes in September. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. Get another round of applause for Don Davies. I want to ask, if this is such a good deal, then why does it have to be done in absolute secrecy? Why is it that they moved this from the last minute from Vancouver to Ottawa? Because they didn't want people to participate and they did not want people to protest, but we have shown them. People all over the world are protesting. Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Malaysia. These are all places that are going to be affected by the TPP, and these are all places where people are standing up and not allowing this terrible agreement to go through. Now, this would not be a protest if we didn't have some good old-fashioned jingles from the Raging Grannies. So if we can give a round of applause to the Raging Grannies who are going to give us a few songs.
Fundamentally, the TPP is shrouded in secrecy. Nobody knows exactly what's happening, and that is beyond absurd for democratic participation. And it means we have no ability to direct what will be a wide-ranging agreement if ever put in place.
And so what would you like to see the government do in this situation? Obviously, to a certain extent, negotiations have to happen behind closed doors. So what would you like to see the government do?
parties from the United States and political parties in the United States and in Canada have been asking simply for periodic updates about what the major issues are and what the sticking points are. Their details, of course, happen at a table and are negotiated, but we don't even know what the major points are if it wasn't for some of these documents being released through websites like that.
Just in terms of, we're talking about a massive free trade proposal or a massive Asia-Pacific trade proposal. Do you think that what would your message be to the average Canadian that might not know that much about, following trade negotiations? Why do you think people should care?
So the Trans-Pacific Partnership is not even a trade deal. It is so vast that we shouldn't even be calling it a trade deal anymore. It includes things like copyright legislation, environmental rules, how would it affect our health care, how would it affect our education, how would it affect Indigenous sovereignty and rights. So we shouldn't even be calling it a trade deal. It is a massive undermining of Canadian sovereignty in terms of our ability to actually make any impact here and have our own rules and our own regulations.
All right, is there anything else you want to... What's next for this? What are you guys going to do to continue pushing?
Sure. Well, the government at the last minute moved these trade talks from Vancouver to Ottawa to make sure that people wouldn't have the ability to organize. And we have shown that is not what Canadians want to do. Canadians are very willing to mobilize. We want to make sure that we know what's happening behind closed doors. And we are going to continue to mount the pressure to ensure that these trade talks open up and at least do not happen without political and public participation.
Were you guys going to go out to Vancouver, or?
There was groups that are across this country, like SomeOfUs.org, Council of Canadians, and other groups who are organizing both here and in British Columbia.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you again. Take care.
Cool.
Hello folks, this is Justin here, and I'm here with Seamus, and he represents SomeOfUs.org, right?
That's currently what I'm working with, but I'm a community organizer in Ottawa, and right now we're working with SomeOfUs.org.
Okay, all right, so an individual as well as a collective activist, no problem. All right, so basically we have mostly covered in the other questions and in your speech, but I'm just wondering, what do you believe is the true root of all this secrecy? Like, what do you think causes them to want to keep it so secret? Because I have been here for the past couple days, and these guys don't like being identified or anything like that. So what do you think is truly behind this?
I think what is truly behind this is that governments and these officials know that when these things become public, people don't want them. They know that people don't want them, and yet they're doing it anyway. The only way to do it is to make sure that people don't know what's happening and don't know what is included.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And I'm just wondering, like, as for the root of why these things, the things that they don't want to be seen, like, why do they really, what's really coming behind this? What's the true, what's going on that all these countries, and it's not just TPP either. I mean, like, in Britain, I mean, they have the TTIP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's
TTIPs, they're calling it.
TTIP, yeah. So, I mean, they have, like, initiatives like this that are all over the world, very, very much similar to each other. Yeah. So, like, why do they all have this same kind of thing going on? What is the root of all this?
Because the corporations and massive interests that are behind these trade deals are global in scope and don't see borders, and they are the ones that are actually in these trade talks. There are almost no, if any, elected officials in these trade talks today. There's only representatives of corporations and public functionaries that are being directed by ministers of trade that are often controlled by major corporations.
Okay, all right. So you believe it would be almost like a global initiative that these guys are really matching up, or
they know exactly what they want, and they're making sure that it can happen. But the only way that they can do that is to make sure that people don't know what's happening.
Exactly. Okay. All right. And what would you consider to be the ultimate direction to a solution against this? Because I mean, it's definitely obvious. This secrecy, it's against privacy, it's against as well transparency of government. I mean, it's obvious that it's almost non-debatable whether or not this is a good thing for any individual person or any individual nation or state. So, I mean, what do we have to do to stop this from happening? Because it's like when you kill something like this, another thing comes back and twice as bad.
we need to figure out, there's no real answer to that. What we need to do is figure out ways that people can organize to be able to try to take back control of our public institutions, our governments, and the way that we actually interact in the world. I have no one answer on how do we do that, but we need to collectively come up with a better solution than allowing the corporations and big business interests to run roughshod over our democratic participation and our rights and liberties.
I noticed because like when they switched over from Vancouver to Ottawa, I was actually here for the past 4 days. I only learned about it, actually, I think it was on the 5th or 6th that I ended up hearing. But I came here for the past 4 days, and actually this is the first time I've seen anybody else besides me actually protest about it. So there is an obvious problem with organization here. Yeah, I mean, like, it's great that we're here and there is a voice at one point, but I mean, I was pretty much running around ragged just taking pictures of these guys, and they were pretty much free to do whatever they like, and they're here pretty much undermining our authority. So, I mean, do you have any suggestions as to how we can become a better organized activist collective?
I think that we are starting to come up with some more creative ways. We're talking... public participation, citizens groups are growing. Unions are reimagining what it means to be a union and how unions can interact in the world. And people's groups are coming together. Just next month in August, there's the People's People's Assembly that's happening in Ottawa. It's going to be a great time for people, hundreds and possibly thousands of activists from across the country, to come together and discuss those exact questions.
Awesome. And what is do you know the date of that?
That's the August 21st, 24th.
Okay.
You can find it online at People's, I believe it's peoplesassembly.org or something.
Peoplesassembly.org? I'm sure I'll find it.
All right.
Seamus, thanks for your time.
All right, cheers.
Take care. So I just wanted to make one more video. It's about 2 o'clock or so here now after the protest. And unfortunately we're back down to no people standing by. I've been here for 4 days now, and in between all that, I've had about 6 hours of sleep. So I think I'm going to call it, at least for today, and I'm probably going to take the day off tomorrow because it's a little bit rough trying to chase people down, kind of. So that being said, folks, thanks for watching, and I will be here on the 12th for its final day, and hopefully we'll be able to get some good interviews and good discussion on this and basically expose it for what it is, a corporate takeover of whatever sovereignty we ever had or ever have left. Thanks again, guys. Take care. It's not good. I'm sure you're a great guy. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing.